Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're doing some budget-friendly home decor DIYs. These are upcycle, trash to treasure type of thing. And this is also extra special because it's part of a collab with my friend Kendra from Late Night Creations and Natalie from Sparks of Joy Studio. This collab is where we will be using similar items, but you're gonna see how each of us make it our own. And we're gonna get started with my first DIY. Up first is a tin can. We're all going to be using one of these in our DIYs. I've never crafted with a tin can, but here we are. We're going to do this today. So I was supposed to cut out the bottom of the can. Obviously the top is already gone because I don't know, took beans out of this or whatever was in it. And it was having a hard time cutting it. I think the depth on the can is just a little bit different on the bottom. So I ended up just using my my can opener to just kind of cut and open, close, all the way around till the bottom came out. I am using my little vacuum to vacuum up a few little metal pieces that came out. I didn't want to cut my hand. And then I'm using a hammer. I do have a rubber tip on this, and I'm just hammering down one side. I decided to hammer down the part that was the most rickety and sharp just to seal that in, and this actually happens very easily. And then I'm just using my hands to kind of flatten down the other side just a little bit, and yeah, just bang that with a hammer. This was a lot simpler and easy than I thought, but we're making a little wall pocket, I suppose you could call it. I have this resin piece and I wanted to attach this to the front of the can before we painted it. So I'm using some super glue gel, and we're just going to apply a good amount of that and place it on. I tried to use a smaller piece of resin and go up a little bit higher so that there would be a lot of contact between the piece and the metal can. And then I did wrap that with some painter's tape while it dried. And then once that was all done, we were ready to paint. I'm going to be using the color Mineral by Waverly Chalk Paint and giving this, I think I only did one coat of paint. There's a part where there's an expiration date written on there that I probably could have done a couple more coats, but it's all good. I did want to take a minute to tell you about this collab. Kendra from Late Night Creation, it puts this on 5th Sunday collab, and it's really fun. You get to see how different creators use the same products in their own way, in their own projects. And I am good friends with Kendra. We do talk on a regular basis outside of YouTube. We're actually going to be meeting later this year, which is super fun. And because of Kendra, I'm new to Natalie at Sparks of Joy Studio, but I think you'll really enjoy her content as well. Make sure you check these ladies out. I'm going to have their videos linked down in my description box and pinned in a comment. Once our can has a couple of coats and everything is dry, I'm going in with Waverly clear wax, and I'm just going to brush this on, and then I'm going to wipe this off with a scrap of an old t-shirt. Now my intention for this was to hopefully help. We're going to do a little bit of addition onto the flower that we attached, the resin piece, and I thought this would help it. But either way, you do want to seal in your paint, whether you use Mod Podge or wax. So my head got in the way and you can't really see it, but I went in with, this is called Serenity Blue. I think it's a Rust-Oleum paint, and I went in with a stencil brush and really colored in the stencil or the resin piece. I thought that was really pretty. Then for this piece, I wanted a way to hang it up, and so I just knotted a big piece of rope. But be careful, the can will get hot when you put hot glue in there, and I'm using a tool to attach the rope to the inside with some hot glue. It's not going to be heavy. It doesn't need to have some crazy adhesive, but this ended up working out really well. And I thought this piece was really cute. I don't have it shown hung up here because I don't have a good place to show you how it looks hung up, whether the lighting is good, but I love how this little piece came out using an old tin can. I wanted to pop on really quick and tell you about something special. There is a giveaway in this collaboration that Kendra is putting on. So I'm going to have all of the details down in my description box for that giveaway, but I wanted to let you know that you got to leave a comment on all 3 of our videos in order to be entered, and then all of the other details will be down in the description box. Kendra is giving away a gift card to Hobby Lobby and this beautiful candle warmer. So if you want to be entered, leave a comment down below, and of course go over to Kendra and Natalie's channels, watch their videos, and leave a comment as well. Let's get back to today's DIYs though. We're also all going to be using an 8x10 picture frame, I had this frame already in my stash from previous DIYs and I'm redoing it. I was just showing you that in the back I just taped it off because I didn't want to get paint on the back side, and then I covered the inside here with some paper just to keep it clean. I pulled out the glass. So I wanted to try this technique. I don't think I've actually done this where you use Elmer's glue. I'm not using Elmer's glue. I'm using another version. But we're going to go for a crackled paint look. And I didn't do it great, but it did come out good. It's just I didn't do it totally right. But we're going to brush on the white school glue. I'm sorry for my head. I tried a different angle in this video and, well, my head gets in the way because I'm trying to see what I'm doing. While the glue is still wet, you're supposed to go over it with a coat of paint. I'm using Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Mineral. Now, the key is that you're supposed to do one stroke across, not back and forth across the glue. I had a hard time with that because I wasn't putting enough paint on my paintbrush, so I think that is why I struggled a little bit, but overall it did still work. But just keep that in mind. You want to just do one stroke across the wet glue with your paint of choice. And then I'm using my heat gun. You can also use a hair dryer, and that will also increase the cracking as well as speed up the paint drying. So that is what we're doing here, and you get a nice little rustic fun farmhouse look. I'm into that. If you're not, you don't have to do that. And then I did want to seal all of this in with some Mod Podge, so I'm just going to do that really quickly here. Just a reminder that this is a collab. Please check out Kendra and Natalie's videos. I think you're going to love them. They create differently than me, but very beautifully, and it'll be fun to check out. Another item we're all going to be using is a piece of canvas drop cloth. I'm taking this canvas drop cloth and cutting it down to size just a little bit bigger than the glass itself. Now, depending on the type of frame you have, you can see my back just folds out. So this was a little bit trickier. This would probably be a little bit easier with a different backing. But I'm just laying my glass in and then laying the canvas in, and we're going to just use some scissors, trim it down best we can so that I can get the clasps over it to secure it. And then I flipped mine over, and I've just used a chalk writer, but any like dry erase marker or anything could be used. You could use this as a menu board, a message board, but I thought this was a fun project. Another item that we're all going to be using is an empty candle tin. I'm going to be making over this empty candle tin by turning it into a planter. We're going to use the top and the bottom, and I realized I actually didn't need to paint the center of this piece, but we're starting with the bottom with Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Mineral. I am going to paint the top and bottom of this and all of the sides. This did take a couple of coats to get really good coverage, but that's what I wanted, so that's what I did. If you are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new because of the collab, I hope that you let me know. Say hey down in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, if you like budget-friendly DIYs. That's what I do here on this channel. Lots of Dollar Tree stuff, but other budget-friendly items. But I would love it if you would stick around, say hello, and give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it. After our pieces are painted, we're also going to seal them in with Mod Podge. You can also do a clear wax. Just wanting to seal that in so that we don't have any of that paint chipping off. We're going to use Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the color Serenity Blue. This has been in my stash for a while. And we're going to paint the base of the candle tin with this. Now, I don't think I stirred the paint good enough the first time. So I think that was part of my problem here. Also just because I'm painting on metal. So you can, it was having a hard time sticking a little bit here, but eventually I did get it. I do find that trying to speed up the drying process using a heat gun or a hair dryer doesn't really work great in these types of situations. So I personally don't recommend it, but give it a try if you want. But you can also give your project a base coat of Mod Podge, and that sometimes helps as well. But once I had all of the coverage I needed, I'm dry brushing with a chippy brush the Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Mineral just to bring out the texture of this tin. I thought that that came out really nice. Hopefully you can see the texture popping here. You definitely can in person. And now we're going to attach our bottom to the top because the top is just using as like a base, almost like a saucer. I'm using some, what was I using? Super glue gel and some hot glue. Try not to overlap the two, but I realized I put it in a place that there's not a lot of connection. So quickly took that off. We added some more to this bottom rim because the bottom of this piece is recessed, so there wasn't having a whole lot of connection. And we're going to let that dry. I did paint my big old paint can, put my big old paint can in here to weight it down and just give that a moment to dry to make sure that it was adhered super well, because we're going to be loading this thing down. But then I was like, oh wait, I need to seal the rest of this because I didn't seal the rest of it earlier, but don't forget to do that. Seal it in, it helps. So I went through my stash and I had some succulents. I really like this. It's like a triple combo one, and I am just using some pliers, needle nose pliers, to bend down the stem. I didn't want to cut it in case I want to reuse this another time, but bend it down to get to the height I needed. And I really wanted to use these pretty white rocks, but I didn't have a ton of them, so I first put down some river rocks. These are all from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to weight it down. I didn't glue it or use floral foam, but feel free to do that if you want. But I thought this came out super cute. Let me know. You can really see the texture popping here. But let me know what you think of this. And I hope that this inspires you to upcycle some trash from your home. We are all going to also be using one of these scrap wood planks. Kendra sent this out because she received some of these. It's just a discarded flooring piece, leftover piece. I'm going to be using this scrap piece of flooring, but you could also use a just scrap piece of wood or a sign or something. And we're going to be making this over. So I sanded it down just to clean it up a little bit. And then we're going to do what I'm going to call a heavy dry brush with a chippy brush of white Waverly chalk paint. I wanted to have this more of a whitewash look. I wanted it to have some of that wood color showing through, but I really wanted to use the white just to make it pop a little bit and be a little bit brighter. I am going a little bit more solid on the edges, not totally, but just a little bit. And this will probably depend on what type of piece of scrap you are using if you want to replicate this project. But just go as heavy or as light-handed as you want. You can't really take the paint off that easy, but you can always add more on. I mean, you could sand it down, I guess, but just start out light, work your way up. I have this welcome sign. This is like the chipboard stuff, and I think this was probably on clearance from Hobby Lobby, but it's been in my stash for a while. I'm not sure. You can also find these types of pieces at Dollar Tree, and we're going to be giving this a coat of Serenity Blue in the Rust-Oleum paint. I recently remembered this was in my stash, so I've been trying to use it. And I did go ahead and go around all of the edges just because I wanted to. If you can keep the paint off of the edges, you could just leave it as is and let it pop a little bit. But I liked how this looks, but this part was a little bit tedious, but not hard, just tedious. Now the chipboard can get a little bit flaky if it gets too wet, so I wanted good coverage, but I tried to not overly saturate the piece either. We are also all using this brown packing paper, or you could use a brown paper bag. I'm going to be using this brown packing paper to make some embellishments for my sign. So there are different videos online, on Pinterest, on YouTube, of instructions of how to do this. I'm going with the wing it method, but I'm going to cut in up strips. I realized this was way too big of a piece, but I'm going to roll it up, and then I'm going to trim this down because it was definitely too much, and then twist the paper. So I have this way sped up. This did take a little bit of time, but again, it's not hard. It just takes some time, and there are definitely directions online for making other types of flowers. Did I say we're making flowers? We're making flowers. I burnt myself there really, but it's okay. Everything's fine. But there are other instructions to do ones that have a little bit more of a distinct petal. This is more of a blossom, like a rose kind of, but I am twisting and rolling using hot glue. Finger protectors would have been a good idea, but you can see I'm just twisting, putting a little bit of glue, twisting, putting a little bit of glue. I love these little flowers. These are so fun and a great way to upcycle. If you don't have like leftover grocery bags or packing paper, you could just use like a brown paper sack, cut it up into strips. Anyways, this is really fun. I did make a couple of these, well, a few of these, you'll see them in different sizes. I'm not going to go through all of them, but on my second one, I did just twist it. I didn't roll it. I just was making a smaller one, and I wanted to try something different. So I just wanted to show you that there's definitely different ways, of doing this. You can find instructions and not wing it like I did. You can follow my wing it instructions here, but this is how I made my little rosettes. Don't forget about the giveaway. If you missed out because you skipped ahead, well, go back and watch the rest of my video. Don't miss out on that. All of the instructions are in my description box. All we have left to do now is assemble our sign. So I'm just going to use some hot glue, maybe something stronger if you want, but this is what I'm doing, just a little bit of hot glue to attach the welcome sign. It's pretty light. And then we're going to use some hot glue to attach our little rosettes. I did 3 in one corner, 1 in another corner. I did not make this a hanging sign, but you could easily glue or staple some twine on the back if you wanted to be able to hang this. I'm going to use it more of a leaner. Oh yeah, I did do one other thing. I thought the paper was a little too dark, so I went in with some of that mineral paint to touch them up, and that completes this sign. I love this sign, and I think the blue and the white and the rusticy brown wood all together works well. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Well, that is going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. I like sharing budget-friendly DIYs here on my channel. And don't forget to check out Kendra and Natalie's videos. They're linked down in a pinned comment below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.